Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of What's on My Desk, and today I'm going to take you on a trip around the world. Well, no, not really. I'm just going to show you a bunch of world time watches. So I brought three world timepieces from arguably the most iconic names in the business, so I brought a WOMD, or world time from Breguet in platinum. This is the latest version that they made. I brought the world time from Lange Söhne, referred to as the Lange 1 time zone. And I brought the latest world time from Patek Philippe, the 5830G in white gold. I believe I showed you guys the time zone one time, and I may have showed you this guy in rose gold. I'm going to start with the Lange time zone, which I've always told you has been my favorite world time watch. I've worn this watch on numerous occasions while I'm traveling. It's probably one of my favorite dressy watches that's out there. And again, I give a lot of credit to Lange Söhne being a non-Swiss watch manufacturer. I've always said I believe that their movements are superb, even more superb to that of Patek Philippe or maybe even Breguet. I am still somewhat biased towards Breguet, but I'll discuss that when I get to the watch. So, the Lange 1 time zone in rose gold. A watch that I have sold over numerous times. A watch that holds its resale value well. A watch that's just a popular watch all around. Again, I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of these timepieces, with the exception of I'm going to show you side by side how the world time works on these pieces. Two buttons on the left, this one changes the date, and this is the guide that will change your world time. So as I depress that, you'll notice the cities move around, and on the sub dial at 4 o'clock, you'll notice the hour hand move. As I go through the time zones, that will change, and if I eventually get to a time zone where it's the next day, the date will change as well. Manual wind watch, rose gold, case size. Very nice case size. This is a 42 millimeter, which is a very nice size dress watch. Again, something that you don't find often from a lot of these manufacturers that stick with mainly dress watches. This is a really nice size watch. Again, it's elegant, it's beautiful, it's Lange Söhne. The craftsmanship is superb in these timepieces. This is one of the reasons that I always choose to go with this watch should I want to put on a travel watch as I'm traveling overseas, etc. I've always been biased towards the Lange 1 time zone. Retail price $49,400, brand new. You'd be hard pressed to pick this watch up for more than 25 to 30% off retail. On a secondary market, we're selling this watch for $30,000, I believe, which goes to show that this watch does hold its value well, for a couple of reasons. One, it's a Lange. Langes overall tend to hold their value and hold their value well. But the secondary reason is just the fact that this is probably one of the best looking Lange Söhne, without going into the Datograph Perpetuals and get into that $100,000 mark, but this is probably one of the best looking Lange Söhnes that are out there. Some people say the dial may be a little bit busy. I don't think so. I think one of the things that Lange does and does well is come up with a clean dial regardless of how many complications you have on a dial. And with everything that's going on here, it's still a clean watch, it's still legible, it's still easy to read. A lot of the world time watches tend to get a little bit busy on the dial and difficult to read, but not this guy. It's just a beautiful watch overall, and this is why this watch holds its value. It'll continue holding its value well. Moving right along, I'm going to go to the 5830G from Patek Philippe, and this is where you'll notice that the dial does seem to get a lot busier. And even though this is also a chronograph, so therefore the dial does get busy, but I still feel like Patek did a good job in regards to the dial design where the watch still becomes readable. And just real quick, I'm going to change the world time functionality by depressing that. What you'll notice the cities change and the 24 hours move around. It's the last ring that's out there, and you can sort of see that happening as I do this. This is an automatic, which is actually a pretty big deal. Size-wise, it's actually a decent size watch, believe it or not. It's slightly smaller than a Lange Söhne, but it's a bit thicker. And anytime you get a watch that's a bit thicker, it sort of wears bigger. I don't know if I can explain it. In fact, let me put both of them on my wrist side by side. You guys will get an idea of what I'm talking about. And here's the Lange. Now the Lange obviously looks bigger, but if I put them side by side, it seems like they're the same size. And the reason for that is because, look, the Patek is slightly thicker. It's actually quite a bit thicker than the other one. So even though the Patek is slightly smaller, it seems like they wear more or less the same. Now the world time from Patek's, now if you're going to go back to some of the original ones with the Colonnade styles, they pulled stupid results in auctions. Those are highly collectible. They're highly coveted by collectors, and they do fetch quite a lot of money in auctions, various results. And I'll throw some up here so you guys can kind of see. Going forward, and I guess going back to the Patek 5110, right, which was 2 versions ago. Small size, I think that watch was like a 37 millimeter. Resale value is terrible on that watch. I mean, at some point they were trading in the 30s, 40s, even 50s, and then they dropped back down to sort of those mid 20 mark. And again, not a whole lot of takers out there for them. The 5130, which was the same watch but slightly larger, which is also the watch for which they did a 5130 with cloisonné dial. Those things were trading through the roof. They went up to 150,000 when they first came out. Some people were asking $200,000, and right now they're back down under $100,000. Nobody really cares. For some odd reason, the World Time from Patek has not been that one collectible model, with the exception of the original cloisonné dials that were made a long time ago. And the fate of this watch is the same. I mean, they're still selling at a discount. If you're somebody that is looking for a nice Patek Philippe, and this is a beautiful Patek Philippe, it's a complicated Patek Philippe, and yet you can get this watch at a discount. The watch retails for $73,900. Why not just make it $74,000? And you find them online selling brand new around that $60,000 price range, anywhere from $60,000 to $62,000, depending on who's selling them. And on the pre-owned market, they're selling in that mid-50s range. So a decent discount on a complicated Patek Philippe, hefty price tag too. But then again, this is a white gold automatic World Time chronograph. I mean, it's actually somewhat reasonable considering the price points of some of the Pateks that are out there. And again, it's just one of those cases where it's just people, based on their previous experiences with the World Times, how they kind of went up and they kind of tanked, and they're not really holding their value as well as some of the other Pateks, they tend to shy away from them. Personally, I think it's a bad move because, again, your stainless steel 5711 Nautilus is trading around the same price as this watch. What would you rather have? A stainless steel Nautilus, which is deemed super collectible right now? Yeah, it is a collectible watch. Everybody wants one that's trading at stupid values. Or would you rather have this beautiful watch? Personally, I would probably go with the World Time every single time. One funny thing to note is that this watch is blue on a blue strap. Now, blue on the blue strap is typically reserved for platinum watches from Patek, correct? And a lot of other brands, for example, the Lange Söhne I just showed you, the platinum version comes on a blue strap as well, and it has blue accents around the dial, like the hands, etc. But Patek decided, you know what, we're Patek, we can do whatever the hell we want, and we can stray away from the norm, and we're just going to take a white gold watch and we're going to make that with a blue dial and a blue strap. So most people, when they first take a look at this watch, those that know Patek or follow Patek, say, oh, is that a platinum World Time? It's not. This is actually a white gold World Time that looks like a platinum World Time. And I kind of like the fact that they made it in white gold because of the movement inside and the white gold material itself. This watch is actually pretty heavy for a dress watch. If you put this in platinum, it would become even heavier, and I don't think it will be that comfortable on the wrist. Last but not least, and this is, I mean, looks-wise, I have to say I saved the best for last because Breguet, oh my, Breguet, what a job they did on their WOMD or World Time. At a glance, definitely a Breguet. You can tell this is a Breguet from far away. From the hands to the side of the case to the design of the dial, the Roman numerals that are unmistakably Breguet, right? But size-wise, this is a humongous 43 millimeter watch. This is definitely not a Breguet. I mean, as Breguet tends to be small, it tends to be a lot slimmer. This is a very thick and large watch. Hooray, hooray, another large dress watch that people are looking for. And this is definitely one of those options to go with if you want a big watch, but yet you don't want to go sporty and bulky, such as an AP offshore, for example. Unmistakably a Breguet movement. Beautifully decorated rotor movement, etc. I mean, again, this watch screams Breguet, but with a little bit of fun to it, a little bit of color that pops. Oh, look, I can actually see myself in there. Wow, look at that. Let's go through the World Time functionality, and I think out of the three, this is probably the best one. Again, a button to depress in order to change the times, and as you depress that button, you'll notice the time change. And as you depress the button, you see the cities flipping around, and you see the hand. Now, you have to kind of catch that because the hand will actually go to the proper position depending on the time zone. So a lot of times the difference is huge, and the way they made it is if you go to a time zone where the difference is really, really huge, the hand will kind of come all the way around. The date will change at the top, and the moon phase will adjust itself as well, which I think is really, really cool. And again, this is probably the most legible and the easiest one to read out of them all because this dial is not busy at all. You have the two windows that you have to keep track of, and your hour hand will move. Automatic World Time Moon Phase Breguet or WOMD retail price $94,200. Pretty hefty price tag on this platinum timepiece. Well, for one, it's platinum. Two is Breguet. We all know that their price points are in line with those of Lange Söhne as well as the Patek Philippe. So now let's talk resale value. The simple fact that this watch retails for $94,000 and change will already make the resale value suffer because it's expensive right out of the gate. So any dealer out there that has this watch will be happy to sell it to you brand new at 30% off retail. The resale value, they're still trading at that $50,000 mark around that. I think we're selling this watch online for $52,000 or $53,000 if I'm not mistaken, which is around that 40 to 45% off. Again, not that big of a dump in value, but still relatively big discount for Breguets because Breguets typically don't discount much at all. A lot of their watches do not tank in value greatly. Again, I discussed this in one of the previous episodes where certain regions right now kind of have died out, such as Russia, Ukraine, and some of the and a lot of the former Soviet republics where Breguet was extremely popular. So that did make Breguet suffer. But there were days where you were hard pressed to get 10 to 15% off on any Breguet models because of their popularity in certain regions. Asia is picking up popularity on Breguets right now. These Vacherons and Piaget used to be popular, but now Breguets are coming in there and coming in strong, something different. Again, just as beautifully executed as Vacheron or Piaget, sort of in that same realm. So Breguet is not going anywhere. Arguably the godfather of all watchmaking. This brand is here to stay. It's going to stay here for another 250 years easily, and it's not going to go anywhere. So to sum it all up and sort of to make a choice, I'm going to put the three side by side. Same concept, more or less same complicated. Price-wise, not in the same realm. The Patek and the Breguet are in the same realm, but then again, they carry a much higher retail tag. Lange Söhne decided they want to charge $50,000 for the time zone, while Breguet, by including a huge 43mm platinum case with a beautifully decorated dial, and Patek, by adding a chronograph, decided to go in that $80,000 to $90,000 price range. Hence, obviously, the better deal money-wise is always going to be the Lange. But looks-wise, although I love the Lange and everything else, and I would still wear the Lange versus the Breguet, but looks-wise, I have to say that the Breguet is probably the better-looking one out of the bunch. I love the fact that it's large. I love the dial. I love everything about Breguet. Again, a bit biased. Breguet is one of those names that sits with me as, again, the godfather of all watchmaking. But again, when I'm out there and I go to travel, I still reach for this Lange. So if I have one available to me to wear, I am taking off to go to Hong Kong, and out of the trio today, I'm still, as much as I would love to put on that Breguet, I'm gonna go with either the Lange or the Patek simply because of the comfort of wear. Because that platinum 43mm behemoth is pretty heavy and it's not as comfortable on the wrist as that of a Time Zone or even the Patek Philippe and Waco, which is still somewhat heavy. Guys, I don't have to be the one making all the decisions and making all the choices. You know, let me know. Tell me what you think about these time zones. And if you had to pick one, whether you're in the market for one or if this is in your price range, it doesn't really matter. Assume you were getting one of these. Tell me which one you would go with. I would love to hear back from you. Last but not least, what's on my wrist? Again, told you guys in one of my last videos, been on that vintage kick for a while. I'm wearing a 1968 Rolex Pepsi GMT with the long E. Love this watch. Guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, if you're not subscribed to my channel, I need you to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow my fan base. You guys all say I should have more followers. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you like the video, comment below, and I'll see you guys next time for more watch reviews and other videos.